It is January 18th, 2015, the NFC Championship game in Seattle, Washington, between the defending Super Bowl champion Seahawks, still sporting their Legion of Boom defense, facing off against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Seattle comes into this game after flattening the Cam Newton 7-8-1 Panthers last week. The Packers, for their part, survived a battle with Dallas that definitely was not controversial in any way whatsoever. Entering today's game, the consensus is that these two teams are roughly evenly matched, with Seattle holding the slight edge. But as it turns out, this game would be a roller coaster. A game whose ending no one saw coming, and possibly the best conference championship we've ever seen. Green Bay starts with the football, and Aaron Rodgers quickly takes them into Seattle territory. From Seattle's 29, Rodgers fires incomplete to Davante Adams, then again misses Nelson. Before, on third down, Rodgers looks to the end zone, and his pass to Adams is picked off by Seattle corner Richard Sherman for a touchback. 2 plays later, Russell Wilson hands the Packers the ball right back as a tipped pass is intercepted by Packers corner HaHa Clinton Dix, setting the Packers up at the Seattle 23. Green Bay gets down to the Seattle 1, but after 2 straight runs pick up only a couple inches, the Packers are forced to trot out Crosby for an 18-yard kick to give them a 3-0 lead. On the ensuing kickoff, Seattle fumbles the ball right back, setting up Green Bay in prime position to score. But after they get stuck at the 1 again, Crosby trots back up and puts them up 6. Seattle's offense gets their best drive of the game, a 3-and-out followed by a punt. Eddie Lacy and Aaron Rodgers then drive the Packers into the red zone for the 3rd time this quarter, and they finally find pay dirt as Randall Cobb scores from 13 yards out to put the Packers' lead at 13 at the end of the first. Seattle then suffers another 3-and-out and punts. Green Bay tacks on another field goal to put their lead at 16. Seattle really needs to get something going here, and on the first play of the next drive, Wilson goes deep and is picked off by Dix again. But Seattle gets a break. Whatever interception bug they have has clearly gotten to the Packers too, as Rodgers throws one that's intercepted by Seattle corner Byron Maxwell. Seattle's offense finally gets going, gets into Green Bay territory, and then the red zone. Even down 16, a touchdown here can close the gap to 1 score. And Wilson looks for Curse and is picked off for the 3rd time in the first half, this time by Sam Shields. That Packers drive would result in a punt, and the game hits halftime with Green Bay on top, 16-0. Both teams punt to start the second half. Seattle then finally gets on the board after a 12-play, 6-minute drive, ends with Seattle lining up a fake field goal and scoring as punter John Ryan hits a wide-open Gary Gilliam in the end zone. After both sides trade punts again, Crosby snipes a 50-yarder to move the score to 19-7 Packers. Seattle gets the ball back with 5:15 remaining, down 12, and desperately needing a touchdown. Instead, the Packers all but ice the game as Wilson's 4th pass is swallowed up by the Packers defense. However, after draining only 82 seconds, Seattle gets the ball back with 4 minutes to go, and their desperation drive begins. It takes them less than 2 minutes to go 70 yards, and Wilson plunges in from the 1 to give Seattle a glimmer of hope. But they still need an onside kick, and they get it. Setting up at the 50, it takes the Hawks 4 plays to score as Marshawn Lynch dives in from the 24, and a 2-point conversion blows the lid off of CenturyLink Field as the Seahawks rise from the dead and take a 3-point lead. But if there's one quarterback you'd trust to get a game-saving drive, it's Aaron Rodgers. Even pinned at his own 18 with less than 90 seconds to go, Rodgers gives Green Bay a chance, drives him downfield, and the Pack trot Crosby back out for a 48-yarder to send it to overtime and keep their Super Bowl hopes alive. And Crosby is money. A game that first looked like a Packers rout, then a complete implosion, now heads to overtime, tied at 22. Seattle wins the toss, and Wilson comes out onto the field looking for a game-winning touchdown. On 3rd and 7 from his own 31, Wilson fires deep into a defense that has picked him off 4 times already, and knowing that a 5th will completely end his team's season, he's right on the money to Doug Baldwin for 35 yards. On the very next play, Wilson looks to end it as Jermaine Kearse gets a step on Packers corner Tramon Williams. Wilson lines up and hits Kearse perfectly in stride for a game-sealing, NFC Championship winning touchdown. For Seattle, this was the last great moment of the Legion of Boom era. They would lose a heartbreaker 2 weeks later to New England in the Super Bowl, and would only get back to the NFC Championship more than a decade later with a brand new young defense. This was Green Bay's best shot at a Super Bowl too. In the years to follow, they returned to the championship game a few times, but 2014 was by far their best shot. And thus ends the story of the best NFC Conference Championship game comeback of all time. I've been Slideshow Sports, and I will see you next time.